Distinguished guests, colleagues and friends, good morning and welcome to the 2022 State of the Pacific Conference. I'd like to begin by introducing Ngunnawal Wiradjuri Emerging Leader Serena Williams, who's going to open with Welcome to Country. So.
Thank you, Nicole. For those that don't know me, my name is Serena Williams. I'm a proud Ngunnawal Wiradjuri woman and an emerging Ngunnawal elder. We're on my father's country here. My father was the oldest sibling of 11. And we can go right back here on history, going back to the 1800s of our family actually being here. I'd like to thank the Australian National University for getting me again to do a welcome to country. A welcome to country is very important with protocols. In Australia, we have over 200 and something countries with over 500 and something dialects. And before going on to one's country, you must announce your business. So I'm very happy to be here today to do the welcome to country for the conference and webinar that you're holding today. Just a bit about myself. A very passionate woman. My father was a great leader here. He was one of the first to come back after being taken away from country. He was one of the first Aboriginal people to come back here to Ngunnawal country back in the 60s after the Assimilation Act. And he was a part of getting the Aboriginal Legal Service up and running here. He was one of the 4 that was with Aboriginal Embassy back in 1972. And he got a lot of things up and running here around the ACT for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. Very proud man and always one of the best for his people about self-determination. Myself, I followed a bit in his roles, in his footsteps, never fit his shoes. I just thought I'd touch on something that I did personally because of my beliefs and my passion and what you're meeting about today, about the politics about in the South Pacific, particularly PNG. And before I go ahead with talking about that, I always acknowledge my husband. My husband is from Central Province and he's from Hula, Robert Palm, and he come here to Australia when he was 14. We met then, and so I just needed to mention that. I was a part of, you may have heard of the Statement of the Heart, the Recognised campaign. I was proudly part of the walkout to say no to that, because I don't believe that being a part of the Constitution that's written by the British that undermines and underpins our people. You know, our people here in Australia, Aboriginal people, still live in third world conditions. Our people are still in poverty when we should be the richest in our own country. Our people are undermined by a law that we don't fully, totally and heartily understand. We have the highest suicide rates. We have the highest incarceration rates, men and women throughout Australia. And we are still having our children taken away. We have the highest rate of removal of children. So that was part of my stand of walking out to say, I can't be led by people that have no personal interest for all of my people. And, you know, when you believe in something, you stand for what you believe in. Although I don't disrespect our leaders, I just have difference of opinions and different ways and visions. So I hope you have a great time here at the State of the Pacific for 2022. And I'd like to acknowledge all Pacific Island people that have travelled here internationally to be here with us today. I'd also like to acknowledge any other Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people, and of course my elders past, present and future, and everyone that's here today in interest of what's happening in the South Pacific. On behalf of all the Ngunnawal families, Yeramura, I will sweep the lands for you to leave your footprints here. Najan, the water of the Royal, the Murrumbidgee, the Oriole, and the Gudgeonby, to cleanse you of all harm. Malian is the wedge-tailed eagle, the totem of the Ngunnawal people. She will guide, protect, and oversee you on your journey here on Ngunnawal country. Welcome to Ngunnawal country and have a lovely time. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Serena. And I suppose in response to, obviously, we want to acknowledge and celebrate the traditional owners of the land on which we're meeting today, and pay our respects as well to elders past, present and emerging. Okay, so for those who don't know me, I'm Professor Nicole Haley and I head up the Pacific Research Program here at the ANU, or the PRP for short. It's an initiative of the Australian Aid Program, and the PRP was established as a regional public good. It seeks to deepen research and education partnerships between Australia and the Pacific in support of evidence-based policy making and to build greater public awareness of the Pacific. The program is jointly funded by the Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade and the Australian National University, and is delivered by a consortium comprising the Department of Pacific Affairs, the ANU Development Policy Centre, and Australia's leading think tank, the Lowy Institute. The State of the Pacific Conference is one of our flagship activities, and we're really pleased to be able to host it again in person this year after a few years' break. I'd now like to introduce Professor Helen Sullivan, the Dean of the College of Asia and Pacific, who has kindly agreed to say a few words and to welcome you all to the ANU.
Thank you so much, Nicole, and thank you, Serena, for that very generous welcome to country. I too would like to acknowledge and celebrate the first Australians on whose lands and airways indeed we are meeting today, and I pay my respects to elders past and present. Excellencies, distinguished guests, colleagues, I would particularly like to acknowledge the Secretary of the Prime Minister of Papua New Guinea, Mr. Ivan Pomalu, and the Chief Secretary to the Autonomous Bougainville Government, Mr. Shadrach Yamata. Thank you both for being with us today. I'm aware that getting such estimable people in the room is not an easy task. They are very busy, and there are a great many demands on their time, so I'm very, very grateful that they are able to join us. And I would also like to extend my thanks to Tony and others who have done such fantastic work in curating this update and ensuring that we have such great representation from across the region. I would also like to acknowledge participants from the Pacific, both here in person and of course those zooming in from the region. As the Dean, as Nicole says, of the College of Asia and the Pacific, which is an incredible privilege. Our college is unique, there is nothing like us anywhere else, and we treasure it very highly here at the ANU. We are very fortunate to have extraordinary experts working in the college, including Nicole Haley, and it is always a great privilege to welcome guests and those who are very interested in the issues that are so dear to our hearts here to the ANU. So we're really excited to host the State of the Pacific again at the ANU in person and via live stream after a 3-year hiatus. We all adapted as best we could to the Zoom world, but there is nothing quite like face-to-face, person-to-person contact, and it is so wonderful to be able to do that again. So these conferences allow us to bring together Pacific-focused academics, policymakers and civil society to reflect on the latest political, economic and social developments in the region. This is what we do at the college, being a meeting point of all sorts of knowledges, whether it's academic or policy or from practice or from communities. That's incredibly important to us, and we work very, very hard to ensure that we can create the right environment in which productive, often difficult, but ultimately supportive conversations can take place. And over many years, Nicole, her colleagues, those who have come before her, and indeed those who will come after her, a solid reputation has been built for supporting conversations about the issues that matter to the region and undertaking research with our partners in the region to help them engage with key policy challenges. And this year's State of the Pacific is no different. It's an important part of these ongoing conversations. It's held at a particularly significant time. The Pacific region, as I don't need to tell any of you, is at the forefront of many key issues that are playing out on the global stage, from its leadership on global climate change debates to issues about the future of democracy and changing geopolitical contestation. Climate justice is something that is incredibly important to colleagues in this college, and I'm sure it will be a huge part of the conversation today. So geostrategically, economically and culturally, the Pacific has become increasingly relevant to Australia and Australian domestic politics. This relevance was particularly evident in our last federal election in May, with the region's sovereignty and security being raised as key policy issues by major political parties. About time, some of you might say. It is fitting that the ANU, which has had a commitment to supporting research and engagement in the Pacific since its foundation, is hosting such an important conference at this time. So we hope that this year's State of the Pacific will facilitate considered discussion on both the continuing challenges of the region as well as on emerging frontiers of collaboration and learning. Whether we're talking about the domestic politics of climate change or the recent election in PNG and what it means for democracy, our joint efforts in producing solid, independent research are never more important. I wish you all a very productive day of discussion. I wish I could stay and join you, but the job of Dean is far less interesting than the work that you all do. So it's always a delight to be able to come and spend a little bit of time and just getting a sense of what it is that is occupying your minds. I wish you all a very productive day, and I'd like to now hand back to Nicole.